Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. Today we're going to do Buy This, Not That Audi right after this. So I've been putting off Audi for a while, and it's really because they're that bad of a car. They're really not a good car. In the German car segment, they're one of the worst for reliability. I actually got a phone call at the beginning of this week on a guy, a 2014 Audi A7. And he wanted to know the cost to do the timing chains, the full timing guides, chain, tensioner, everything, the whole job. And this happens quite a bit. In fact, over and over and over again, that someone calls with an Audi and they are thinking Honda prices, and they get a quote and they're like, oh my God, what just happened here? Can you run that by me again? I don't understand why it's so high. Well, on most Audis, the engine has to come completely out of the car to do a timing chain job. The V6, the V8, the V10, any of those in between is an engine out job. I looked up the hours on this A7 for the customer, almost 40 hours to do the timing chain job. At roughly $100 an hour, times 40, that's $4,000. I guarantee you I'm not going to do that job for 500 bucks. I guarantee it. That's before parts. We haven't even added parts yet. Anyways, we called him up with the quote, and it was going to be upwards of $6,000, $5,500, $6,000, depending on what we find when we got in there. It could have been more. And he about jumped out of his chair. He was just like, excuse me, $6,000? I'm like, yeah, the engine has to come out. So the goal that I'm going to get to today with going through the Buy This, Not That is keep in mind, if you're in the market for an Audi, you need to get it out of your head that this is going to be Honda repair prices, or Chevy or Ford. This is going to be Audi, extremely, extremely expensive to repair. I've had other Audi customers say, well, so-and-so down the road, or we'll do it cheaper. And I say, well, go there. Go there then. There's a guy not too far from me. I'm not going to mention names or go into any of shaming or anything like that, but the guy is cheaper. And I've had customers leave my shop because my price was too high, take it to him, and he himself comes to my shop asking me how to do the job. You're getting a cheaper price for a reason, probably because the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He shouldn't be taking on that work. He wants the money. He wants to get into those types of repairs. He has no idea what he's getting into, and he gets it apart and he's like, oh my, this is way, way over my head. Do you want your car halfway torn apart on the lift and the guy's going to another shop to get pointers and tips on how to get the job done? To the guy who had the high price that you didn't want to pay. I've actually done 5 or 6 cars for this guy where he's brought me the car fixed for his shop. Then he tacks on a little bit to the bill and resells it to the customer. And I did the work. And that's the cheap guy. I don't understand. I wouldn't take it to a cheap guy for an Audi. Behind me is a VW Audi product, a Lamborghini. We just pulled all 12 coils off of Hoovy's V12 Lamborghini. We're getting close to having it, pretty close to where we're going to start it. We've got a lot of things put together on it. One of the things we're going to do is all new coils and all new plugs. It has VW Auto Group. 782-30005 is the part number. 2006 Volkswagen Jetta. That's what these coils are. I've had a couple people comment, you need to put OEM Lamborghini parts on. The OEM part is a Volkswagen part. So, this is a Volkswagen Audi part. I thought it'd make a great backdrop. So, not every part on there obviously is cross-platform, but a lot of them are. Ignition coils and valves and sensors and different things, emissions parts, that's all going to be VW Audi stuff. One thing about Volkswagen Audi is that you can be under a Bentley, a Lamborghini, a Porsche. They're all owned by VW Audi Auto Group. There's a lot of cross-platform parts on those. So common issues for Audi can also be for Volkswagen, Porsche. A lot of parts are high failure rate, are going to be across multiple platforms because They use those parts all across those platforms. So without further ado, let's get into the buy this, not that Audi. I just wanted you guys to know I don't have very much love for Audis. Even though I've owned one, I had an S6, and I learned my lesson. Everything on there was engine out, engine out. You can check my previous video I did on an S6 that was in here. It was an intake off valve cleaning procedure. And if you did all injectors, everything that what should be done on most of those, it's $4,000. Why is it so high, Wizard? It's an Audi. That's just the way it is. The brand Audi started out as Auto Union. That was the name of the company way back when, I think clear back to 1910, they had Auto Union cars, and in the 30s and 40s, and they were actually got into racing, some of the Auto Union cars. Eventually it turned into Audi. I think in 1968 is when they first started being called Audis. We're going to start with a small car segment, and in that segment, the one to buy would be 2001 to 2009 A4. These are sporty, they're fun, they're economical, they have 4 doors. You can take a family in there. They can be a family car. They're not so small that you can't take a family in. But these are going to be a little bit better built. For the price, you're going to get a good car. They're fairly reliable. I've had these in the shop, and they're still an Audi. They're going to have oil leaks and this and that, but for the most part, they're a fairly reliable car. I don't have a whole lot of experience as far as tearing the engines down or anything other than that, but as far as a car that runs and drives and has been in and out of the shop, I would recommend that one to buy in the small car segment. Not to buy is 2003 to 2013 Audi A3. These are really small, they're much smaller, and these are the bottom of the barrel. They're the cheapest of the cheap Audi that you can buy. And it shows when you get into the interior, it's bare bones. It's really, when I've driven one or had them in the shop, I just have a grimace on my face. I'm like, for the same money, you can have an A4 and step up. You're not really saving any money by getting an A3, unless you want a much smaller car and you're a single person and that works for you, that's fine. But in the small car segment, I wouldn't recommend the A3 because of its bottom of the barrel image, and also the quality, the build quality, the interior appointments, things of that nature are going to be absolute bare bones. We're talking used cars, and if you look at an A4 and an A3, you're going to be in the same price range. Just go with the A4. Now we move on to the medium-sized segment, and in that segment I recommend to buy 2010 to 2017 Audi A7. And specifically with the V8, I really love the sound of the Audi V8s. They have a really awesome sound, and you get a little bit more power out of them too. For me, the A7 is the best looking Audi out there. I love the rear end, the tail end of it. It's just an absolutely beautiful car. Oh, it's windy. I apologize, guys, for the wind noise. It's a windy day in Kansas. But the A7, like I said, is my favorite car of all the Audi cars. It looks amazing. It looks elegant and sporty and luxurious all at the same time. It's a really awesome car. Several of them that I've had in the shop, people really take care of them. Because of the things I just mentioned, they're highly sought after. They're a really loved car, and people take care of them because of that. So if you're in the market for a used car and you look at an A7, it's very likely it's been taken very good care of. So not only do you get all the cool features of being a cool car, but you also get one that's going to be reliable and taken care of. The one not to buy would be 2005 to present A5. These ones have been known to be very unreliable, especially with the CVT transmission. And I don't recommend any car in the entire world with a CVT transmission. They're just, it doesn't matter who makes them. They're not reliable. They fail. We're talking used cars again. You get one that's got miles on it, it's probably going to fail on you at some point. CVT transmissions are rebuildable, but they're only done by shops on the east and west coast that specialize in high volumes, and that's all they do is run those through. Your local transmission shop, they're not going to be able to rebuild your CVT. So stay away from the A5. Again, for the same money, if you're looking at an A5, just get an A7. It's not much more, maybe a little bit more, and you can have a really much more cooler car. In the large car segment, we're going to have the same model, but it's just going to have 2 different engine options. The one to buy in the large car segment will be 2002 to 2009 A8. These are very strikingly elegant. As you guys know, I'm an interior guy. I can sit inside of a car, and if the interior doesn't jive with me, I will write off the whole car. I'm done with it. And the A8 is one of those cars where the interior is just total clicks with me. I totally love it. The interiors are beautiful. You can get these cars with multiple different engines, a 4.0 V8, or you can also get the S8 with the V10, which is going to be even higher maintenance. But with the V8, if you get the A8, that's going to be a car that I really recommend in the large car segment. They're fairly reliable. They're a little bit easier to work on than the A6 models, and they really are a nice car. I really recommend those for the large car segment. A8, V8, just remember that and you'll be golden. The ones I recommend not to buy are any of the A8s with the TDI or the diesel version. And really any modern diesel, I'm going to say stay away from. Because if you have emissions problems or high pressure injector system problems, you have a car that's already expensive to fix, and you tack on the fact that now you're working on a diesel, your $5,000 and $6,000 repairs now turns into 10 and 12 and 13 grand to repair. Most people are not going to foot the bill to repair that. Especially, like I said, we're in the used car segment. If you're in that segment, it means you're probably not looking to spend the money on a brand new car, which means you're probably not looking to spend the money to repair a $13,000 diesel repair bill. If you live in a state that has state emissions testing, it's going to be a nightmare to have a TDI. And then there's the whole Dieselgate thing. Do you really want to get wrapped up in that? I don't. Just stay away, really stay away from any of the TDI vehicles, the V10 TDI or any of that. In the large car segment, A8 TDI, just don't get it, don't do it. Now we move on to the sport utility vehicle SUV segment. And the one I recommend to buy is 2008 to 2017 Q5. I've had several of these at the shop. People bring them to me, especially with the 2-liter FSI engine. The way these cars are designed, these vehicles, SUVs I should say, there's so much room to work on it. It's a 4-cylinder engine in a rear-wheel drive configuration, even though it's all-wheel drive. And it's just tons of room to work on. They're so easy to work on. I really enjoy working on them just for that reason.
Car Wizard, since there's so much space around the engine bay, do you have to take the engine out to do all the repairs?
No, on a lot of these on the 2.0, that's not necessary. That's where it saves you a lot of money. Anytime I've worked on these, it wasn't engine out, take the whole front end apart and all this stuff. The Q5 really is a good car for that. So in that segment, I recommend those year ranges of the Q5 for the SUV segment. Ones not to buy, the Q7. That's it. Just don't buy them. They're horrible. Every customer that comes in the shop with a Q7 or calls me about a Q7 is absolutely fed up with it. They're like, I'm about to set this thing on fire. I'm about to bury it in your backyard, Wizard. I'm tired of this car. They have electrical problems, transmission problems, engine problems. It's just, they're horrible. I'm not even going to give you a year range. Just don't buy a Q7. There you have it. It's that simple. Based on what I've heard from my customers, I can't say go out and buy one of those. I can't do it. Now we move on to the sports car segment. Pretty much all of the Audis are sporty type cars. That's what they shoot for, is a sporty, luxurious car. But they do have some cars that are sports car oriented. The one I recommend to buy in the sports car segment is 98 to 2006 Audi TT. These are in the year range that they're affordable. I know they make newer ones than that, higher models or faster models. But if you're in the used car segment and you want a sports car that's fun, somewhat reliable, somewhat easy to work on, and looks really cool. I think these cars look awesome. I think the TTs of these year range look great. And it has the 20-valve 1.8T engine, just like War Turtle does. Very powerful engine. You can do some mods to these engines and tunes and they just come alive. 250, 300 horsepower in a little car without doing a whole lot. It's really amazing. If you're in the market for a Miata, just dump the Miata and get a TT, trust me. Now we move on to the not to buy segment, and this one's going to offend Watch JR Go. John Ross, I'm not looking to make you mad, but I'm just having to say this. I have to get it out in the air. If you're in the market for a sports car or supercar, the one not to buy is the V8 R8. I don't care if it has turbos on it. If you're getting into the market with a supercar, You're going to get the V10, the V12, make it a supercar. Stop messing around with the V8. That's kind of like saying, hey guys, I just bought a Camaro. But it's the V6 one. And what does everyone's face do when you reveal that it's the V6? They go, oh, it's a V6. Don't get yourself caught up in that. If you're going to get an R8, spend the extra cash, get a manual V10, you won't be disappointed. I know a guy that's actually purchased a V8. It's not John Ross, but it's purchased a V8 R8. He's had it for a little while, and he says, you know what? It's just not what I thought it would be. I should have got the V10. And he did. He sold the V8 and he got the V10, and now he's where he wanted to be. It was more money. It costs more money. But why would you buy a lower end version of a supercar? Just stay away from the V8 R8. It's an entry-level supercar. They did that to cut the cost, and you end up with a supercar that's had the cost cut. That's all you have. So sorry for the tirade, guys. I've been putting off Audi for a while because there's so many things that can go wrong with them. There's always oil leaks. They're not as bad as BMWs, but they're almost as bad as far as oil leaks go. They have the absolute worst reliability rating. They don't have a very good record at all. If you trace it back to any years, they're bad. They're pretty bad. Now you might be lucky and have an Audi of these that I recommend not to buy, and yours hasn't had a single problem. That's kind of like hitting the lottery and winning the lottery, and I'm happy for you. But the statistics show that's not the case with the ones I recommended not to buy. So anyways, if you're curious what kind of tools I use, check my Amazon affiliates link below. I've got all my tools listed there. If you want to know what kind of tools a professional technician uses, there's lots of tools listed there you won't find at your local parts store. They're specialty, shop-only tools. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button already, go ahead and do that now. We've got many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.